Good evening, everyone. My name is Jenny Goodamo. I'm the executive director here at Wood Library, and
I'm Carrie Magnan. I'm the circulation supervisor and the notary public here.
that's right.
I'm not available for notarizing right now.
Do you say that every time?
Every time.
Okay. And we're here to talk about true crime.
We are. Yeah.
Okay.
It's exciting.
So today I have the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, and I'm trying to practice and not say Madeline,
Right.
because I think the family says Madeline. So Madeline might come out. I also wonder if it's the Rochester accent,
Could be.
Buffalo Rochester
could
accent,
be.
because I want to say
Yep.
McCain, not
Yeah.
McCann. Right. So I'll try my best.
Yes.
You'll probably hear me stumbling from time to
You're
time.
going to do great.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so let's talk about this. How much do you remember of this case?
I remember when it happened and it was
Yeah.
big news and she went missing. And it seems like one of those stories, there's a lot of coverage about it. Like maybe they think they found her, somebody who knows something, and then there's not. And then it's back again. And there's
Right, which we might run into that a little bit of that
Yeah.
later too.
Okay. Foreshadowing there.
So here we have the McCann family. We have on your left, we have the family with Madeline and then the two younger twins. The parents' names, Kate and Jerry McCann. And they're both British doctors. They actually called Madeline, who in this picture, or when she disappeared, she was 3 years old. But they called her their miracle baby because they couldn't have children for a while. Then they tried the IVF, and then that worked out for them. And then we have the twins, and at the time of Madeline's disappearance, they were 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
So 3 years old, and then twins who were 2 years
That's
old.
a lot. That's a lot. Young kids.
So, of course, the picture on the right then is a picture without Madeline. This is her favorite, I think it was Cuddle Kitty or something along those lines, like her favorite stuffed animal. Usually when you see Kate walking around, you will see her holding on to that stuffed animal. Okay, so I wanted to show off the resort. So they stayed at a Portuguese resort. This is the Ocean Club Resort. They went on holiday, and holiday, of course, is the English term
Like
for
that. I think we
vacation.
should
I know,
use that.
I love
I
it.
do too. Yeah.
So they went there on April 28th, 2007 for a 7-day vacation. Like I said, this was in Portugal. It was the Ocean Club in Praia de Lutz in Lagos, Portugal. And it's an all-inclusive resort. Felt like I needed to show this picture because when you just look at the resort, this large picture here, it looks like nothing special in a way. But down here, this is the view that you have.
That's amazing.
I really wanted to show that because it's wow. Yeah, I wouldn't mind going there. So they rented a first floor apartment in a townhome. So this is actually the front of the apartment. They were on a first floor, like I said. You'd be able to enter through a gate if you can make it out here. And then you go up this stairwell or stairway. And then this is the balcony right here. And then
Okay.
you walk in through these sliding glass doors. Like I said, this is the front of the apartment. Here is the back. You'll see that there's a wall here and there's a car parked here. So basically, you'd be able to pull your car in right here, a little driveway, pull your car up. This will be important later when I talk about the window. But as you look at the resort, even though I said it was all-inclusive, it has a lot of public roadways surrounding it. It's not a truly gated community. There is no real security checkpoint. You don't have to show any identification when you pull in there. So it's like a mixed-use resort. There's some people that actually have residents there.
Oh.
And then there's some people who are just vacationers.
Now, had they been to this resort before, or this was their first time there?
I'm not sure about
Okay.
that exactly.
Okay.
But so as I said with the apartment, it was accessible two ways. One being the front through the sliding glass door, one in the back. I know I said you can pull your car around. There was also a door right here. So
Okay.
there was two ways to enter the townhome.
Did they have to use a card like to get in through the front? If they were going in those glass doors, was there any type of security
No.
to get in there? No. Okay.
No. So they went with friends. Now you have to remember these friends' names later, but David and Fiona Payne and their two kids and Fiona's mother. They also went with Matt and Rachel Holdfield and their child, and Russell O'Brien and Jane Tanner with their two children. So it equaled 9 adults and 8 children. It was not a highly secure resort, as you can tell by looking at it. Anybody can come and go as they please. Very limited CCTV cameras, no security checks, easy
Now,
access.
Is that because of the time that it was?
Yeah, I mean,
2007?
2007, yeah. That's what I was going to say. It was expensive to do all those types of cameras back then. And at the same time, the resort didn't want to raise the concerns of the vacationers. Why are all these cameras here? Or why is all this added security necessary? Is there something going on? So the resort didn't want to raise anyone's eyebrows. However, the apartment windows did have exterior sliding metal shutters
Okay.
that were controlled by a cord on the inside.
Okay.
I'll show you a picture of that
Okay.
in a little bit. But the window here that I'm going to refer to later, that's right there, and it has the sliding metal
So
shutters
you can
there.
shut those from the inside, and that would make that window secure from somebody trying to get into
Yes,
the window. Okay.
supposedly.
Supposedly.
Okay. Okay, so the crime then. As I said, they went on vacation April 28th. It was a 7-day trip. So now we are on their 6th day. And this is May 3rd, 10 a.m. Jerry and Kate place their kids in the Ocean Club Kids Club daycare. So they do that in the morning so that they can take a walk. 10:30 that day, they pick their children up and they go back to the apartment for lunch. And then they go to the pool. 2:29 is the last photo of Madeline that's taken, and that's this picture here. She's at the pool. Actually, it's part of a much larger picture of her sitting next to her father at the pool. 3:30 p.m., they return the children to the kids club. 6 o'clock, Kate picks up children from the kids club. Jerry goes on an hour-long tennis lesson. And then 6:30, one of their friends, David Payne, goes to the tennis courts to meet up with Jerry. Then Jerry tells his friend, hey, do you mind going to swing by the apartment to check on Kate? So that's what he does. 7 o'clock, Jerry's lesson is over. He returns to the apartment, and he and Kate put the children to bed in the front bedroom. I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. Madeline is in a single bed nearest the door, and there's an empty bed on the opposite wall beneath the only window in the room. Again, I have a picture of this, so that will help in a minute. The twins are on travel cots between the two beds. So basically, there's one unoccupied bed that's underneath the window.
Okay. And then there's 2 cots.
With the twins, yep. Parents, according to the parents, they kept that window and shutter closed almost the entire trip. And the door to the room, anytime they went out, the door was almost shut all the way. They didn't shut it all the way. It wasn't wide open. They just left it.
Is that so they could get in and out easily, or
I don't know why they did that.
this is the front door? Or
This
one
is
of
the bedroom. The
oh,
bedroom,
the bedroom door. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
8:35 p.m., Kate and Jerry arrive at the bar. So this map I wanted to show you, here's their apartment right here on that corner. And as I said, the sliding glass door is here. So they would have to walk here and come around. I can't remember. I think they had to go through the resort. Oh, I think they had to come down here actually. And this is a reception building of some
Okay.
sort.
Yep.
They walk through here and they make it over to the
So they
bar.
leave the kids at home.
Yes.
And they go to the
Yes.
top.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
There'll be a lot of criticism of
Okay.
that later.
Yeah.
They purposely ask for a table that's right here so that they have a direct view of their apartment. I do want to show you this though. This is from where they're sitting. This is what they can see. So it's not a clear view. Yeah, you can see the front of the apartment, but you can't really see the sliding glass door. I don't
Right.
really think you can see people coming and going, but
Right.
you also get an idea of how far away they are. They're not that far.
But they feel confident where they're sitting
Yes.
that they can see their apartment.
And I will say that they have done this almost every night of the trip. So this wasn't the first night they were doing it. They're already toward the end of the trip, but every night that week, they were getting a reservation at the top of the bar, putting the children to sleep, and then keeping an eye on them, and they would do these 30-minute checks.
Okay, so
Well, it's 180 feet away from where they're sitting, the apartment is. The group orders appetizers, and then the parents begin the routine. All the parents begin the routine of checking on their kids.
so they're all doing the same.
Yes, but only checking on their kids for the
Yeah,
most
yeah,
part.
right.
The other line of the apartments here, I think one of them had a second-story apartment,
Okay.
but they were right around the same area. So 9:05 p.m., Jerry checks on his kids using the unlocked patio door. So that's the other thing. They kept the patio door unlocked.
Okay.
And he notices that the children's room door is now open. He looks into the room. Well, first he looks into his room because he's, oh, that's weird. Madeline must have gotten up.
Okay.
So he looks in his room first.
Right.
She's not there.
Right.
But takes a second look and all 3 children are still in that front bedroom.
Okay.
He closes the door almost all the way again. 9:08 p.m., Jerry is on his way back to the restaurant and spots Jerry Wilkins, another guest that he knows, and then they start to chit-chat. Jane Tanner, so Jane Tanner is one of the friends who came on the trip with them. She sees them chatting as she passes them to check on her own kids.
Okay.
So the 2 guys, they don't notice Jane. Jane's kind of walking through and sees the 2 guys talking. But she spots a man walking quickly across the road in front of her. away from the McCann apartment and heading toward the outer road of the resort. He is carrying a sleeping girl with pink pajamas. She does think it's odd, but it's not out of the ordinary. Her first thought isn't going to be, man, this guy's abducting somebody. She doesn't say anything because Stryker is too strange. 9:30 p.m., it is now Kate's turn to check on the children. Her friend Matt offers to check on the McCann's kids while checking on his own. So he offers to go do that for her. He goes to the McCann's apartment. He notices that the bedroom door is completely open.
Okay.
But he doesn't know what the routine is. He walks in, he doesn't think anything's
Right.
different. He doesn't know anything is strange. He quickly glances in and he sees the twins. From his angle, though, he does not see Madeline or her bed, and he hears no noises. So he thinks everything's okay. Like,
He doesn't actually see her,
No.
but he just assumes she's
Yes.
there. And
Yeah.
okay.
So 10 p.m. now, as I said, it's been roughly every half hour. Kate goes to check on the children. She enters the apartment through the patio doors. Everyone has been doing. They're unlocked. Door to the bedroom blows shut. So the bedroom, bedroom that the kids are in, the door blows shut. It might have something to do with opening the patio and creating a draft, but she quickly notices the window in the room, the shutter is up and the window is open. The twins are sleeping, but Madeline is gone. Kate checks the apartment, but there is no sign. She runs to the tapas bar screaming, tapas, screaming, they have taken her. So that's what that's what she says. So after 10 o'clock, their friend Rachel goes to Jane Tanner's apartment. This is Jane Tanner who spotted that man. So Rachel goes to Jane Tanner's apartment to tell her about Madeline, and this is when she realizes she might have seen an abduction take place in front of her eyes.
Okay.
So Jerry tells Matt to go to the resort's reception desk and call the police. 10:30 p.m., the police arrive at the resort. 11:10 p.m., detectives arrive and are told about a child abduction, and a search begins of the resort, including the beach and surrounding areas. Now, there's some discrepancy whether they were really looking for an abducted child or a child that they think wandered off. The staff there, they were under the impression that she just wandered off.
She opened up the sliding glass door or something and just walked out.
Yeah. I think that's what they were starting. You hate to think that someone actually took a child, but again, that's 11:10 p.m. when detectives arrive and the search begins. And then 4 a.m. the search is called off. And then the investigation itself does not begin until the following day. Let's see what's on the next page. So here's the apartment that I was telling you about. The patio doors are here. So this is where they've been entering. This is the front door here. This is where the parents were sleeping, bathroom, and then this is where the kids were sleeping. So Madeline was in this bed. The kids, the twins, were in these cots, and then this was an empty bed, and then here's the window here. So this is all toward that road where you can pull your car in. There's that low wall there. So that's what the apartment layout looks like. So the Tanner sighting, that's what they're calling it. When Jane Tanner spotted that person, that's what this picture is.
Okay.
So she passed this information on to the Portuguese police as soon as Madeline was reported missing. But they did not pass that description to the media until May 25th. So remember, this is
like
May.
3 weeks later.
Yeah, it was a while. Sketch of the man was released in October.
Of the same year. So 6 months later.
Yeah. Tanner described the man as white, dark-haired, 5'7", Southern European or Mediterranean appearance, 35 to 40 years old, wearing gold or beige trousers and a dark jacket, and said that he did not look like a tourist. So maybe someone who lived around there.
Yeah.
Okay, so then this other picture. This is known as the Smith sighting. So this is part of the investigation. Another sighting of a man carrying a child on the night of Madeline's disappearance. This one was reported to the Portuguese police on May 26th, 2007 by Martin and Mary Smith, and they were on holiday from Ireland. The Smiths saw the man at around 10 o'clock, about 500 yards from the McCann's apartment, walking away from the Ocean Club and towards the beach. He was carrying a girl aged 3 to 4 years. She had blonde hair and pale skin, was wearing light-colored pajamas, and was barefoot. The man was mid-30s, 5'7" to 5'9" tall, slim to normal build, with short brown hair, wearing cream or beige trousers. Again, he did not look like a tourist. according to the Smiths, and he actually seemed uncomfortable carrying the child. EFITs, which is a computer-based method of creating facial composites based on eyewitnesses, so that's what you're looking at here, were first created in 2008 by Oakley International, private investigators hired by the McCanns. And these were published in 2013 by Scotland Yard. So this picture came along later.
Okay.
This one came about, that was released October 2007. And then this one was published in 2013. So there was some lag there. The investigation seemed botched. So if you remember from our JonBenet Ramsey case, you have a child abduction or something that happened to a child in the house, and you're dealing with a inexperienced police force. That's what we're dealing with here. So the border or marine police were not given a description of Madeline for many hours. You're trying to shut down the roads.
Yeah.
You're trying, if this is a true abduction, you're trying to stop this abductor from getting too far. But the border and marine police were not given any sort of description of her. So
From the local police.
correct.
Yeah.
House-to-house searches were not done. Roadblocks were not set up until the next morning. That's valuable time that was lost right there. Police did not review roadway surveillance photos of cars. Took 5 days to issue a missing person report.
That's great.
Not all of the vacationers at the resort were interviewed. The crime scene was not secured, so that sounds like JonBenet Ramsey all over again. People were in and out of the apartment. People were outside that bedroom window. The police did not wear gloves when dusting for fingerprints.
Is this a local police force? Is there a lot of crime in this area, or they're just not used to?
I do think there is a lot of crime, but
Okay.
again, it's this balance of not scaring the tourists.
right.
And I do think you'll see, they do think that the parents did something. Originally, I thought the child wandered off on her own, but then they came to their own conclusion that the parents had something
I
to do with
remember
it.
hearing that at the time.
The apartment also lay vacant for 1 month, then was rented out to tourists until August 2007 for more forensic tests.
Huh.
I don't know how much you want to trust.
Yikes.
In June of 2007, there was reported that DNA from one stranger was found, but because over 20 people were in and out of this unsecured crime scene, they really couldn't pinpoint it. The only DNA on the window was Kate's.
Okay.
I wanted to show you, this is what the window looks like. So I will say the bars were not there. The
Okay.
bars were a new addition after all this happened. The bars were not there. There is a video online that proves that you can open up the metal shutters from the outside. You just have to hike them up a little bit, reach your hand in, and if that window is unlocked,
Yeah, you can.
you
pull-
you
yeah.
push the window up, and then you can have access
Yeah.
to the cord and
Yeah.
just pull it up.
So Kate's fingerprints were found where on the window, by the outside or the inside?
They didn't say specifically,
Okay,
but
just said-
after she discovered Madeline was missing, she actually shut the window.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So that could have.
yeah. These were the 2 sniffing dogs that they brought in. One can sense the presence of human blood. The other one's a cadaver dog. I'll go into that in a minute. Then these are actual crime scene photos. So you see the 2 cots here for the twins, the window, the empty bed, and then this was Madeline's bed here. And again, Madeline's bed here. So let's go on to some suspects, or the Guido, as they call them. So the first person here is Robert Murat. He's a 34-year-old British Portuguese property consultant. So he actually lived there. He lived in his mother's house at the time, the Casa Liliana, 150 yards away from apartment number 5A, which was the McCann's apartment. And it was also in the direction in which the man in the Tanner sighting had walked.
Oh.
So they're starting to look at him because they're thinking, who is this guy? Where's he headed? Oh,
Yeah.
look, there's Robert's mom's house.
It looks like he fits the general.
Yeah,
description.
yeah. And he was also very eager to offer his help. And
Yeah,
that's
right.
usually
Red
read. He wanted to share his local knowledge. He offered to speak to the police because he could be an interpreter. So that made him look suspicious. He was seen outside the McCann's apartment several times by the Friends group, as well as a nanny and 2 other vacationers. So people are already pointing the finger at him.
Yeah.
Murat's mother claimed he was home that night.
Okay. Tom Peralta.
Yeah. So beginning on May 15th, 2007, Murat's home, I guess it was his mother's home, was searched. The pool was drained. His cars, computers, phones, and videotapes were examined. His garden was searched using ground radar and sniffer dogs, and 2 of his associates were questioned. Other suspicious activity at the time, there had been a 4-fold increase in burglaries between January and May of 2007.
Okay.
Including 2 in the McCann's block in the 17 days before the disappearance, during which burglars had entered through windows. So we can tell probably, most likely, that the shutters could be lifted up from the outside.
Yeah, was anything else taken from their apartment?
From the McCanns?
Yeah, besides...
No, I did not see that anywhere.
Okay.
Several witnesses reported men collecting for charity. On April 20th, a scraggly-looking man asked a tourist in her apartment near 5A for money for an orphanage in nearby Espich. Apparently, there were no orphanages or similar in or near Espich. There were no orphanages in
Espich.
Yes, yeah. The witness described the man as pushy and intimidating. So, another clue, perhaps. Then I also have the McCanns on here, because now the police are beginning to wonder about them. The media is beginning to turn against the McCann. Before they were on their side, they're helping get the word out about Madeline, and then now they're starting to become more critical of them.
So what made them turn?
I think the presence of other, I don't know, I think that there was, you're so proud of your hometown, and then now you have outsiders coming in and making it sound like you didn't do enough to protect the children, but they were looking too kindly on them anymore. They were stirring up all this activity. People didn't want to travel anymore to this resort.
Right.
So media wasn't too happy about that. And what sells newspapers are rumors. So now you can start drawing up all sorts of stories to sell newspapers. They called the group swingers, who sedated their children, and now they had formed a pack of silence, so none of the friends are talking to the police. There's no proof of any of this, but the tabloids took it and ran with it. They picked on the fact that Jerry had made an inconsistent statement. He had stated during his first interview on May 4th that both he and Kate had entered 5A through the locked front door for their assigned checks. And in a second interview on May 10th, he said that they had entered through the unlocked patio doors at the back. There was also an inconsistency about whether the front door had been locked. At the same time, as I said, I think it was the sixth night of them being there. They've been doing this all week. Maybe they've forgotten which door they used. I think they used the front door in the beginning of the vacation, but then they were afraid of, if you remember in that picture, the front door was right near the children's bedroom. They were worried about waking the kids up every time they came. They switched to the doors. Or you can take it for what it looks like. Something nefarious went on. The police also questioned why, when Kate discovered Madeline was missing, she had run to the tapas restaurant, leaving the twins alone in 5A, when she could have used her cell phone or shouted to the group from the balcony.
I think she was probably panicking that her daughter was...
Yeah. As the Portuguese police said that the shutter could not be raised from the outside without being forced, and there was no sign of forced entry. They also said that forcing the shutter open would have caused a lot of noise. And as I said later, this would be disproven through video. Kate's shout of, "They've taken her," was viewed with suspicion, as though she was trying to lend credence to a false abduction story. That's how they were looking at it. Particularly from August onwards, these suspicions developed into the theory that Madeline had died in apartment 5A as a result of an accident, and perhaps after being sedated to help her stay asleep, and that her parents had hidden her body for a month before retrieving her and driving her to an unknown place in a car they had rented over 3 weeks after the disappearance.
They were back again?
Yeah, so they rented a car 3 weeks. They rented a car 3 weeks after her disappearance.
Right, Portugal.
Yes. Okay. And the sniffer dogs that they brought in, one of them alerted to the boot of the car.
Oh, the boot. The trunk.
The trunk, yes.
As we call it in America.
That doesn't sound as nice. I like the boot.
I think the English have nice ways to vacation or holiday. Trunk or boot.
What's elevator? That's a lift.
Lift. Oh, the cadaver dog.
Sorry. Yeah.
I got to.
Okay, so
Alerted
the dog alerted to a spot in the boot
They rented the car.
Yes. Okay. They rented the car 3 weeks after Madeline's disappearance. The dog alerts to a spot on the car, but Madeline's been gone for 3 weeks. So the police are creating the story that basically they killed her that night accidentally or something happened.
Okay.
They took her body, they hid it somewhere. The parents did.
But then they had dogs walking around the...
Yeah.
Okay.
But they took her body and hid it somewhere.
Okay.
And then
All right.
3 weeks later, they rent a car.
Yeah.
They decide to move her body
Oh.
because I guess they didn't like where it was.
Where do you think where was it?
I don't know. They put the body in the car, then they go hide it again. So now you have the scent on the car that the
Okay.
dogs
Oh,
are
gotcha. Okay.
alerting to.
Okay. Or then somebody else was...
I know, it makes me wonder what really happened in that rental car.
Yeah, I know, right?
It makes you think twice about renting a car and what took place in it
Yeah, right.
before you get it. Police sniffer dogs. It detected the boot. Yeah, they hit the boot. One thing I didn't say too is those dogs were flown in 3 months later.
They were what?
Flown in 3 months
Oh,
later.
From where?
Does it say? I don't know.
They
They're
were from a
special
different
dogs.
country. Okay.
Special dogs.
Okay.
Traces of blood were detected in the apartment and in the trunk of the rental car. Samples were inconclusive. So the parents were given the arguido status then on September 7th, and they were advised by their lawyer not to answer any questions. Portuguese police told Jerry that Madeline's DNA had been found in the car trunk and behind the sofa in apartment 5A. Jerry did respond to questions, but Kate declined to reply to 48 questions she was asked during an 11-hour interview. Next day, according to Kate, the police proposed that if she were to admit that Madeline had died in an accident in the apartment and that she'd hidden the body, she might only serve a 2-year sentence. Her husband would not be charged, and he would be free to leave. So she would just have to sign that. Refuse it, and both she and Jerry are allowed to leave and return home to the UK with the other. This whole time, they've been in Portugal from May until, September.
Oh, they've been...
They never left. They never left.
Oh,
This was
okay.
their first
Right.
time leaving
Okay.
to go back home.
Where
And
were
I
they
think at that point, they realized that now
Yeah.
the police are looking at them and they're not helping them.
Where were they staying when they were...
I'm not sure of. In July 2008, the McCanns and Robert Murat are cleared as suspects by the Portuguese Attorney General because of lack of evidence, and the case was closed. The continued investigation then. 2010, McCann's asked the British Home Secretary to take a look at the case. This is a picture of Jim Gamble right here. Jim Gamble from Child Exploitation and Online Protection Safety Center, or the CEOP, was commissioned to develop a report. He felt that the Portuguese police, had failed to take a close look at everyone, and cell phone data was not at all analyzed. In May 2011, Operation Grange was launched by Scotland Yard to look at the case with a fresh start. This is actually the most expensive investigation in British history. It was determined that the Tanner sighting, picture of the man carrying the child, was just a father with his child. This person had come forward later, and he fit the exact description. He had the pajamas that his daughter was wearing.
Yeah.
So they said it was just a coincidence that night. Age progression technology was used to show Madeline as an older child. So that's this picture here. They had checked into over 8,000 sightings spanning 100 countries. So that just gives you an idea how well publicized her picture was. And I think it was the most circulated photo of a missing child ever.
Yeah.
I think we all can agree that we've seen her picture at least once. Everyone, for the most part, knows. They also investigated 650 sex offenders and 60 persons of interest. So they were busy. So recent developments then. Recent developments, 2017 now. Okay, so 10 years since Madeline's disappearance. Yeah. This is a picture of Christian Brückner. Yeah, I'd say so. But he wasn't really smiling in any of them. Anyway, so a friend of his claims that Christian had made a drunken confession to him that he had killed Madeline.
Yeah.
So he reported Christian to the German police. So we are in Germany now. Brückner has lived a life of crime, mostly financial crimes, burglary. In 1994, he sexually abused a child. But guess what? He fled to Portugal. In 1999, he was extradited back to Germany to serve his sentence. So when he completed his sentence, he moved back to Portugal. In Portugal at this time, there was no sex offender registry. Do you want to know when they started the sex offender registry in Portugal?
2024.
2015.
Wow.
All that time, they weren't keeping track of these crimes. That's crazy to me, because when I looked up when the U.S. implemented it, it was like 1994.
Yeah.
He could keep fleeing back to Portugal, and
Right.
he was in a safe zone in a way. So his house was 1 mile from McCann's rented apartment. He was known to steal from hotels and holiday apartments.
Mhm.
The German police theorized that he was burglarizing Ocean Club apartments and happened to come across Madeline. A crime of opportunity, cell phone data, again, however you want to pronounce that was analyzed, placed him at the Ocean Club 1 hour before Madeline disappeared. One day after her disappearance, he put his car in someone else's name, so he had it registered under someone else's name, and then he returned to Germany. In 2013, he posted about his fantasies in a pedophile chat.
Oh, gross. I know.
But there was no mention of Madeline. But the police are onto him. They're watching him, seeing what he's talking about. Police explore an abandoned factory. They found USB drives with child porn. They found a girl's swimsuits in an RV. That's who do these swimsuits belong to? There are more to the story. Like how it's just starting to unravel. During this time, he had sexually abused a 5-year-old and was sentenced to 15 months in prison. But guess what?
15 months?
Where did he go?
Portugal.
Yes, back to Portugal. And then he was extradited back to Germany to serve his sentence. In 2016, he was charged and convicted of raping a 72-year-old American woman who was vacationing close to the Ocean Club in 2005. So actually all this time had gone by since she had been raped. Then they were able to finally match his DNA to that case.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's where he is now. He is currently in prison in Germany for that rape.
The rape happened in Portugal or Germany?
Portugal. 'Cause this woman was near the Ocean Club.
Okay, gotcha.
I will say this. German authorities are sure that they have found Madeline's abductor based on what they have seen.
Okay. Was there maybe images or something?
They did not
They
say.
didn't say.
They
Okay.
did not. So they have not shared any evidence, but they have stated she is dead. So
There's probably something.
there's something.
USB
Yeah.
drives or
They
something.
feel they need more before they can charge him with murder, though. So that's weird. If you know for sure she's dead, and this was stuff that was his possession at one point or another, then isn't that enough to convict him?
You would think so.
So what the German police want to find out is who the person was on the phone the night of Madeline's disappearance. So you remember an hour before her disappearance, someone had called or someone was on the phone with Christian.
Okay.
They think is Christian because they want to prove it was Christian on the one end of the line.
Wait, who was he talking to?
He was talking to somebody. Okay. What they're hoping to
From the
do,
Ocean Club?
we don't know. But what they're hoping to do is talk to whoever he was talking to and confirm that it was Christian on the other end of the line.
Okay.
Because then you can pinpoint him there at the Ocean
At the
Club.
Ocean. Okay.
Because I think they're afraid that he's going to be like, yeah, that was my phone, but I didn't make the phone.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
Gave it to my friend.
Yeah. The thing is, though, it was a prepaid phone. So I think the other person had the prepaid phone. I think they were able to determine that. So it's
right.
you get the word out, hoping that someone's going to come forward and say something like, yeah, it was me that was talking to him, and yes, he was there.
But nobody has come forward with that.
No. As I said, he is serving a 7-year sentence for rape, but is scheduled for release this September. But only if he pays an unpaid fine. So the fine is hefty enough where it's going to be a little difficult for him to raise the funds.
So he may be
They're
staying
hoping
in
to keep him in there till January so they can continue to develop a court case against him and charge him with murder. On June 3rd, 2025 now, so this is just last month, police were looking around the area. He lived in Portugal with ground penetrating radar. I have not heard or seen anything that they found any evidence.
Yeah.
This is, again, a picture of Portugal. Here's the Ocean Club. This is where he lived at the time. As I said, it was only a mile from apartment 5A. He also owned this property up here. I believe it was perhaps the abandoned factory.
Okay.
That's what's going on right now.
He certainly seems like a likely suspect.
Yeah. Yeah, when you hear the German police say they are sure and that they know that she's dead, you think they're serious and they know what they're talking about. Then they're also not releasing any new information. They really want to make sure they can keep their information under wraps until they can get this guy. So
I hope they do.
I listened to True Crime Garage on this. There's a 48 Hours episode on this as well. A while ago, I watched The Disappearance of Madeleine McCann on Netflix. I did not rewatch it. So if any of you watched it out there and I'm missing some important information, let me know. There are a lot of theories about this case. Was the parent at the time
Yeah, are the
before all
parents
this other
still
stuff?
considered suspects
No.
by anybody? No, they're not.
There's
always people that
there will be.
Yeah.
There will
Yeah.
be.
But no law
Even now
enforcement.
that they've been cleared as
Yeah.
suspects,
Yeah.
you get onto online discussions and people
Yeah.
still think the parents did something.
So in the Scotland Yard investigation, did that clear them too? Or
I don't think the Scotland Yard was even looking at them.
okay,
I mean,
they were not.
I didn't get that
Okay.
impression.
Yeah.
Now, the McCanns created a fund. They were able to pay for a lot of these investigations. Now, if you really killed your kid, would you? I don't know how much money you pour into it, but a lot of money went into that. And the other thing that people wonder too is if she wandered out of the apartment on her own. So, remember, with 3-year-olds, would they open the sliding glass door and shut it behind them? Would they walk down a set of stairs and close 2 gates behind them? I don't know.
No. I'm trying to think of my kids when they were 3.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they would just leave it open for mommy.
Exactly.
There's other people that believe she went out through the rear door, which is the door by the carport, and just happened to get picked up by somebody. That was that. There's people that believe the parents that she was climbing up on the sofa and fell and hit her head. But the parents are doctors.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time believing that they would just let her
Yeah.
die. Yeah, the ambulance.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in that. Now we have this Christian guy. There was also a sighting. This was Robert Murat's mother, that guy. His mother claimed to have seen someone standing outside of apartment 5, a woman in a purple blouse, I think. She looked good. Some people think that this person was a lookout person.
Lookout. Yeah.
That this was a planned, coordinated, orchestrated event that they had spotted Madeline and wanted to steal her for whichever reason.
Yeah. I feel like I would see stories where people were, the stories were, oh, this girl might be Madeline because she would be the same age or
Yes.
they look similar and it would turn out to be that person.
Right. Or then you have some people that thought they were Madeline.
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot of theories out there. Maybe the German police are wrong. He doesn't sound like a great guy.
No, he sounds like a real scumbag.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if anyone has any other information they'd like to share or any questions that they have. Yes.
Question is news parents.
I didn't see anything like that. I didn't read anything like that. Now, the thing that I had to be careful about when I was researching online was not to get caught up in a lot of these tabloid articles, because a lot of them are already against the parents
Yeah,
and making up things.
So they'll slant it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was trying to stick with the BBC, just more trusted news sources, because if you read some of those articles, yes, make it sound like they were irresponsible parents, and I'm not saying they weren't. I think if anybody who's going to regret this for the rest of their lives, it's going to be them.
Yeah. But they had already been there 6 days and they hadn't had any
Nothing
trouble doing
happened.
this. Yeah. And
Yeah.
they're all friends staying in the same area. They're good. Maybe they just got too comfortable.
Worked all these other things,
Exactly. Exactly.
why not today?
Established a pattern.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Yeah, somebody would watch.
And there's
See
some
that.
thoughts, and I thought this too. There's a reservation book at the tapas restaurant. It shows the McCanns had reserved this particular table at this time. If you have a waiter or somebody who's paying attention, oh, I see what their routine is.
Yeah.
They're always sitting here, they're checking every 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was always this belief that it was someone who worked it.
That's what I was thinking, that it was somebody there. Maybe, as you said, they were watching them. They knew what their routine was. Wait, that makes sense.
I do think it, maybe not in Christian's case, but I do think it's odd to have someone who's going to burglarize an apartment. Oh, look, there's a child. I
Yeah.
think I'll take this.
Yeah,
That's
right.
this. Now it's escalated.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not possible, because the German police think it is.
He had a history of abusing friends.
Or maybe he idea in his head. It wasn't going to be a burglary. It was just going to be an abduction.
Yeah.
Or taking a child,
Right.
place a child she lost.
But then I wonder,
Right,
like,
exactly.
why the twins taken? Why not? If it's sex trafficking or something.
Yeah, right.
Right.
You know, I
Well,
don't
if you're a good person.
We're right.
Yeah, it's hard to,
And there's
hard to take twins.
Yeah.
And they're all sleeping and they're all, yeah.
But there's also this belief that maybe it was 2-person operation, or maybe 3. You have a lookout,
Then you have the onlooker and then you have,
onlooker. That's exactly how it's phrased too in the police reports. Onlooker. No. There's just a lot of theories. A lot of people believe what they're going to believe, but it shows how powerful the media can be in both getting the word out about Madeline and her disappearance, but also how it can turn against someone. The police chief, the Portuguese police chief responsible for investigation, was forced to resign.
makes sense.
He had done some not so much nice things to another couple. There was another child who had died, not at the Ocean Club, but it was an 8-year-old boy who had died, and he basically beat the aunt and uncle and made them confess
my
to
God.
the murder.
That's terrible.
You see what his end is. Just let's close the case.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who did it.
That's
It's gonna look
professional.
It's gonna look good if I show that I solved it.
Yeah.
He wrote a book after he resigned on the McCann, stating what he thinks happened, that it was all an accident. I don't know. It was just nonstop.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. First of all, you lose your child in the worst way possible. Then you come back to answer questions, and everyone has turned against
Yeah,
you, and is
right.
now saying that you did.
Yeah.
And it's saying that the dog is sniffing the car, and it's the car that you rented 3 weeks after. It still must have something to do with it. It's just,
Yeah, that's hard. Where are they now? Or do they still live in England? Or
yes.
Okay.
They both went back to work, and the twins now are, I think they're 17, 18.
They're getting ready to go to university.
Thank you.
Maybe they're in university because
They are. They are in
university.
university. Yes. So actually, I didn't say it was Madeline and then Sean. And Sean actually might be swimming for the UK for the Olympics.
Really? Oh wow.
And she does really well in athletics too. And they've rebounded. Oh, and Robert Murat was able to sue for libel because he was getting picked on by the tabloids too. Everyone was pointing their finger at him, saying that he did it. Here they are draining his pool and saying that the tabloids are running with it. Oh, there's stuff on his computer.
Yeah,
and
they're checking
his
yard
life turned
there.
upside. I don't know if I doubt he's still in Portugal, but
I'm still at his mom's house.
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Robert moved on. Just, it's an interesting case. I do hope it's one of those cases that served in our lifetime. At least to see.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I hope
And
it's
There's a lot of cultural things too. In Sweden, people kill their babies and puppies inside. Go
yeah.
and touch the
right.
Yeah.
50s. Here, when I grew up in a house, have to do.
Oh, same here. I remember my mom going into the grocery store and just leaving us out.
Yeah, the car. My,
She
I don't want to say
regretted it.
anything
She
about my
regretted
mom
it when
who's
my-
here, but I feel like she did that too.
Arrest that woman.
Now, like that, right? We think, oh my God.
Oh, I know.
Occasionally, they probably comfortable.
I don't think helicopter parents were really a thing back then.
I think it was less. And you're on vacation. Your friends
You
are all there.
can see
Like,
the apartment from
yeah, you've already done this.
front doors locked.
Yeah.
Lord knows if they had 3-year-old, they probably needed.
They needed a break. Yeah.
Yeah, and then people were asking why did they were able to afford the daycare there. Didn't they? Well, but yeah, that's it. But and then you don't want to change the kid's routine because
Yeah.
the child is probably staying up then.
Another bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
How reliable was they're probably
Right. And that was another reason why when Jerry made that inconsistent statement, whether they came in through the front door or the sliding glass door, or whether the front door was locked or not, I think that had something to do with it, maybe. And I think too, when people were coming in to check on the kids, I think it was a quick check. Hey, I'm here to use the bathroom. And the kids are okay. Out of here.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to the bar.
Just like that. I think his friend Matt.
Yeah.
He just did a quick look, thinking that one of the kids is going to be gone.
To make it look.
Never know.
Give an explanation of the blood.
Not really. They did. I couldn't find it. Oh, yeah. But you wonder how well that apartment.
House is black. It was inconclusive.
It was inconclusive. So you wonder, not to be gross, but what if I had a sniffing dog come to my house? What would be?
Yeah.
I don't know. You hear about that in some of these crimes that that someone cut their finger and then you have kids running around the house and they cut their finger, they put their hand on the wall.
Right.
That was a blood smear.
Or they don't even have dripping blood and then they
label it to spot. Yes, and now it's not a crime they committed in your house.
Right.
And look, there's blood here. It must have been you that did it. I'm just.
I think that's totally.
The German police go down there for 3 days with massive diggers to do the whole farm area.
Yes, it must know something.
Not they did, they have the ground things, machinery.
Right.
I think they have
a lot.
Yeah. You're right. Maybe this sounds a little off color, but think of the notoriety you will get for solving the Madeleine McCann case.
This is how many? This was just last. They did the German.
Yeah. And I will say the German police, Portuguese police, and the UK are all working together. Portuguese police redeem themselves in some manner. And German police are probably more experienced and have the equipment and able to bring it all in. Hopefully they find something.
I hope they do. I hope they resolve it so the parents have some closure
Oh my
and
gosh.
the kids.
Because I know they're still holding on to that she's alive.
Yeah. I think you would do that if your child.
You don't want to think
Correct.
that's
Yeah.
the worst case
Right.
scenario, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Mentioned earlier, the Portuguese police closed the case.
That's what they said.
No,
I know.
it was-
That kind of gives you the impression of what we're dealing with.
Then they now allow.
Yes. Yes, I think changing of the guards helps quite a bit.
And technology leaves it.
You wonder if they have any sample.
The German in was during the how many years?
Yeah, 2005. Crazy.
Person.
Oh, it didn't say. It just said a friend of his. He was out at this time. Christian was not in jail. And he was drunk from, I don't know if it was a party or what. Drunken confession. He had said something to his friend. And contacted the German police. Say, hey, there's something.
He's what
Wrong?
quote was that he told a friend she was great.
Oh, see, I didn't see that.
Terrible. Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah.
Johnny, you did a fantastic job. This was really interesting.
Yeah,
It
is. But it's one of those cases.
Oh, yeah.
To see someone.
Yeah.
Did you know about Christian?
I haven't heard.
I think I was in the
Yeah.
same boat as you,
Yeah.
where I was. Oh wow, there's actually some movement
Yeah,
on this case.
That's great. I think it's really good news for the family. I hope they resolve this. They can have some closure in their lives.
Now the documentary on Netflix. Has anyone seen that? Like I said, I saw it years ago. Multiple episodes. I know it was on the McCann family.
Oh,
So I don't recall anything being in it that would slight.
does it portray them? Maybe?
I think so. From what I remember, I felt it was just telling the story. And it didn't have anything about. I don't think anything about Christian. I don't recall that. I don't think so. I remember that Jim Gamble talking on this documentary. So he's that child.
It works for he's the UK's and stuff.
Yeah. He interviewed him quite a bit on here, and I remember when I watched the documentary. Oh, please, I hope this guy figures it out.
Yeah.
It just seemed he was just consistently working on it.
Yeah.
But this Christian thing is, as I said, he was supposed to release this September. It hold on to it a little bit longer and develop it. And that's probably why they're working so hard to develop a case against him.
Was he owes money? He has some sort of fine. Is
Was-
that related to one of his crimes, or this is like something they're using to keep him in jail?
I think it's both. I think it's like a financial crime.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
is that-
gotcha. Okay. All right. Because that was when he also committed those types of crimes too.
Yes. Yeah.
They told him once he ran.
They could figure something out. It just creeped me out. Many times he escaped to Portugal. There's sex offender registry. There's stuff. Yeah, I know. And then
Right.
you wonder too.
That by itself is
As a
huge
vacation, I guess
Yeah.
it shows you never know where you're going. You
Yeah.
don't truly know where you're going. You don't really think about the laws of a
Yeah.
foreign country until you're there.
Right.
Now they have bars on the first floor windows there. For the longest time, they didn't want to do that because it looks bad to the tourists.
Yeah, because it makes you think, oh, this must be
This-
dangerous
yeah.
here. So that's why.
And it kind of was.
Yeah, it was.
Apartments were
Yeah.
burglarized.
Right.
It's so on some in here is where she was abducted by some or whoever abducted her around or
Yeah.
if that was the case, I mean
Right.
no screen.
Yeah. I did read somewhere where Madeline had said to her mother, "Why didn't you come back last night when you heard me and brother or sister cry?" And then the mother noticed there was a brown stain on the jail. And now I think they're thinking that she was visited once already. That's a possibility where this person breaks in, spots her, and I was like, I'm gonna come. Maybe it started off as a burglary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna come back tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And they didn't resolve them.
No,
Because those shutters are very
yeah,
but they're not for
but it gives
Yeah.
you the illusion almost of
Mhm.
safety
Right.
because they're easy to open. Can be.
well, they're mostly public.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly.
There were the very area.
And they were hit up multiple times, different apartments. Sounds like it was a common issue,
Yeah.
but nobody was talking about it.
You've got foreigners coming in from out of the country and they've got money and they're on vacation and they're drinking and they're having a great time.
Yeah, I wish I knew the answer to that if they had been at this resort.
Yeah.
But as I said, it's not. I was picturing a gated. This one I was picturing a front gate.
Yeah.
You drove. You knew they were wealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doctor.
Right.
It's got to be this all-inclusive resort, which it was to some degree, but it didn't have a whole gate around
Yeah.
the whole facility. Again, it makes you wonder about some of these places. Actually, I meant to ask, what does everyone think happened to Madeline? I should have asked that before.
She was abducted.
I do too.
And I
Yeah. Yeah.
thought usually when robberies like that, a lot of opportunities.
Or it could be somebody who just works at the facility because they would have maybe had them in the window.
Yeah, I know. I thought it. I know. Yeah, I was just curious where.
I think it's possible that she wandered out of the apartment, maybe, but I just. She's 3, it's a long day, they're on vacation.
Unless she was for close to a year old.
Yeah.
Unless she was
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
They're not right. Yeah. Yes, it's true. No, nothing unusual about the staff. There were a couple phone calls that they traced to the bus driver from the resort and maybe some other employees, but they supposedly they questioned them and they were cleared because they were able to look at the cell phone data then after. They were able to who the people were and conversation.
Absolutely. Very good job.
Thanks.
Hey,